Namaste, yoga friends. My name's Doreen Foxwell, and I am coming to you today on the full moon, although that doesn't happen till late tonight, a little before midnight. And usually on a full moon, it's a time where I will recommend you put out your crystals. I have a bunch of my crystals right out in front of me. I made kind of a full moon grid. I actually made two. I made one at my house and I made one here at the studio. And so it's a wonderful time to play with your crystals. Your crystals love moon energy, but not necessarily tonight. Tonight, I would not personally recommend putting your crystals out, and I'm going to tell you why in a few moments, but that also is entirely up to you. We put our crystals out in a full moon to get a bath in the moon, to help to recharge them. But it's also important that you cleanse your crystals, which can be done several ways. You can use water on many of the crystals, but not all. You can use smoke, like smudging or saging. You can also do your own intentions by holding a crystal and just sending an intention to that. All of those are great ways of cleansing. But the only really to recharge a crystal is through your moonlight ceremonies, or just putting them in a windowsill or outside if the climate is nice. But again, tonight is not going to be one of those nights for me. And that is because this full moon is falling under a time when we are in a Mars retrograde. And Mars is a planet of war. Mars is the planet of action. Mars is the planet of strong emotions like anger. So, I personally don't want to bring that energy into my crystals at this moment. I want my energies to sink and be very happy and love each other. And so, my crystals will not go out tonight. They'll go out in the next full moon of the new year. But for this last full moon, nah, they're going to stay safely in the house and not near the moonlight, I think. And so, that is up to you and your children. But it is very important to understand what this full moon energy means to your child and to you. First of all, it's the last full moon of the year. Now, being the last full moon of the year, it's bringing with it that energy of the whole year. Now, there's been a lot of change this year. There's been a lot of things that have happened this year, and probably within your own world and your children's world. And it's where you do want to look at it, and you want to look at that and be like, you know, what behaviors might I have changed? What actions might I have taken differently? What words would I might have taken back or said differently or not said at all? That's one thing to look at for yourself. So for your children, we have to simplify it. And so we kind of have to talk to our children about consequences of their actions. When you're raising children, there's always consequences to choices they make. Now, some parents like to tell children, don't do this and don't do that and don't do this. And some like to tell them why not to do this or why not to do that. Others don't. But children will often ignore that and will do it anyway because that is life. Even as an adult, if you have someone telling you not to do something, sometimes you do the total opposite because of that. So you want your children to understand that they have choices. And what choices did they make that they're happy with this year? And what choices did they make that maybe they're not so happy with? Things they said, actions they took, just like us as adults. And a great place to put that all down is in a journal. If your children don't have journals, I highly recommend get even just any simple notebook for them to journal. And let them write down their thoughts and their feelings. It's something we do in all of our school-age classes. Journaling is so important. There are many things that children don't feel comfortable sharing with anybody, but they'll put in your journal. And so on this full moon, I want us to harness that energy of this full moon so that we can go into the new year with the new blessings to come our way. So a full moon is when you do one of two things or both. You release things that were not serving you, and you reveal things that might have been hidden that you weren't ready to share yet. So one of these two things is often associated with a full moon. Also something you can journal with your children or have them journal in regards to that. Release, reveal. Which will it be? And it's very interesting. For the last one of the year, it's in Gemini. Gemini is the twins, the dual sides of things, the good, the bad, the positive, the negative. They gather all the information up, and they put all their information down, and they're very, very good at that. And a Gemini is also very chatty. So your children might also want to be very chatty with you, or they might have an internal dialogue going on instead, and that's okay. So let's take this time to get out our journals, to journal the good, the bad, the ugly this year, the consequences of our actions this year, and for your children the same thing. And lastly, I want to end with a positive meditation where I want you to think of all the things, or even just one, sometimes you can only think of one if you're upset with your child, that your child is just so good at. For instance, your child might be a great helper, super friendly, very creative, very loving, all those type of qualities. And I want your child to think of what they feel are their best qualities or features. And then afterwards, I want you each to compare, because there often will be things that you never realized that your child felt is their best qualities when you're looking at some of their others. So put your hands over your heart, close your eyes, focus on your child or children for the moment. Think about at least one of those qualities that you just absolutely love about your child. Keep that in your heart bank. Keep that in there so that when those times come that you might forget those good qualities, you can go back into that bank and pull them out. Namaste, yoga friends. Have a great yoga day. Have a great full moon. Have a great last full moon of the year. And I will see you next time. Namaste.